Ever wondered why prices suddenly go up on imported goods? That's because of something called a tariff. But what is it? And why do economists hate it? Let's break it down. A tariff is a tax imposed on imported goods. Governments do this to protect local industries or generate revenue. There are two main types of tariffs: protective tariffs, which shield domestic businesses from foreign competition, and revenue tariffs, which generate money for the government. Sounds good, right? Well, not always. Tariffs can lead to unintended consequences, such as trade retaliation, supply chain disruptions, and increased costs for consumers. Tariff wars start when one country imposes tariffs, and another retaliates. A famous example? The US-China trade war. In 2018, the US placed tariffs on Chinese goods, and China hit back with their own tariffs. The result? Prices soared, businesses struggled, and global markets faced instability. But this isn't new. Back in 1930, the Smoot-Hawley tariff worsened the Great Depression by reducing international trade. Higher tariffs mean higher prices. Companies pass these extra costs to consumers. Imagine wanting a new smartphone, but now it costs 20% more because of tariffs. Ouch! This also affects industries like agriculture, where farmers may struggle to sell their products internationally due to retaliatory tariffs. Tariffs also lead to inflation, making everyday goods more expensive. Economists argue tariffs do more harm than good. They disrupt trade, raise prices, and often lead to job losses in industries that rely on imports. A great example? The 1930s Smoot-Hawley tariff, which worsened the Great Depression. When tariffs make imported goods expensive, businesses may cut costs by laying off workers or moving production overseas. Tariffs also invite trade wars, which further destabilize economies. Tariffs on steel may help steelworkers but hurt car manufacturers who need steel. Another example? When the EU placed tariffs on US bourbon, American whiskey sales dropped overseas. Similarly, when the US placed tariffs on washing machines, domestic manufacturers initially benefited, but consumer prices shot up by an average of $86 per unit. More recently, tariffs on Chinese tech products have driven up prices for smartphones and laptops. Tariffs between the US and Canada have had major consequences for businesses and consumers on both sides of the border. In 2018, the US imposed tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, prompting Canada to retaliate with tariffs on US dairy, whiskey, and other goods. This led to price increases, job losses in industries relying on cross-border trade, and strained diplomatic relations. The automotive industry, which relies heavily on US-Canada trade, saw higher production costs, impacting car prices. Even small businesses felt the squeeze, with tariffs raising costs for materials and limiting market access. So, if tariffs are so harmful, what are the alternatives? Many economists suggest free trade agreements, subsidies for local industries, or strategic partnerships between countries. These approaches help businesses stay competitive without increasing consumer costs. The U.S. Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, which replaced NAFTA, aimed to improve trade relations and reduce dependency on tariffs. So, while tariffs might seem like a way to protect local businesses, they often backfire, making things more expensive for everyone. They can lead to job losses, trade wars, and a less stable economy. Some economists argue for smarter trade policies instead. What do you think? Are tariffs good or bad? Let us know in the comments below.